क्या यही प्यार है
हाँ यही प्यार है.
Hey guys, so I'm gonna record a film review for Sanju that me and my mom watched. My mom and I watched last night with my sister, but she's not gonna do the review. My mom's gonna be here, but she doesn't want to be on like the screen, so she's just gonna sit on the side and pass her comments and everything. But yeah, so the film we're talking about is Sanju. It's an Indian film directed by Rajkumar Hirani, featuring Ranbir Kapoor. Who else? Oh, this lighting is like whatever. But Ranbir Kapoor and who else, Mama?
Paresh Rawal.
Paresh Rawal and Dia Mirza and Anushka Sharma and Vicky Kaushal. He did a really good job. Okay, where do we want to start? Do you have any like point to start?
Personally, I was so sure about the movie because of Rajkumar Hirani, and he's an extremely talented director. And I love the way he treated this story. And this is something that makes great stories, when some personal happening becomes something universal. You know, though this is a story of one man, this is a story of one star, but so many of us can actually relate to it.
Yeah.
So the way the subject was treated, the universality of this movie was, I think, a great thing. And not only that, I feel my money and time was worth spent.
Yeah.
I think it was a privilege to watch.
No, I totally agree with you. I think parts of the whole film in general was like really good. The songs are really good. Like, if we're gonna go like as an overall view, it was pretty good. Like, there were certain parts that were like, okay, why is that, whatever, but it was like fine. And I think Vicky Kaushal's role specifically, the scene, by the way, spoiler alert, the scene where he talks to his dad. He goes up to him and he's like, "Oh, bachai lo apne bete ko," on that part. Oh, did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Is that the plane?
Yeah, we live near an airport.
Okay, we live near the airport. By the way, I'm in Houston right now with my parents, chilling here. But yeah, so that part is really good. And what else did we like about the movie? Okay, I think the overall, like, the theme, the way they kind of placed and made the story, like, in terms of, okay, so they started with Sanjay, that's like life in general, like what his kind of thing was, that he was doing drugs and all that stuff, and the way they moved the drugs into like news and how they tied it all together. Because for those of you who don't know, basically he was caught in like this scandal because of his dad, in regards to like, what was it, like keeping a gun on him, and he really just had a gun on him because of his dad, who was kind of being attacked by like certain political parties, and so he just kept it for his safety. But later, when he was on a film set on Mauritius, he was asked to come back to India to kind of like figure out why he had that in his possession and whatnot. Yeah, so that was like the main reason why that was the main like beginning of how he started into this political and like whole jail thing, right? Yeah. And like his mom's death, like that played like a huge role in his kind of thing. And now a lot of people,
there is a general, I'm cutting you off right now, there is a general thing about being a part of extremely accomplished family, you know, coming from parents like Nargis and Sunil Dutt. You know, he had huge shoes to fill, and he was just a regular guy. And this was something that was missing from his early childhood, when Sunil Dutt did not realize this. Aren't we giving away too much? Are we supposed to do this in a film review? I don't think so.
No, it's fine. We're not like telling the entire story.
All right, okay. So we're not telling the entire story, but the thing
we're just telling you like the main parts that kind of are like the backdrop of the story that they show.
And one more thing I really liked is, though there is this idol of Ganpati all through the movie, you know, telling us that of course this guy is not a Muslim, but still they have implied it.
Politics. We're getting into politics.
Yes,
Yeah.
but still they have kept it religiously unbiased.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was, I think, a great challenge for someone who had such allegations, because he had some Muslim, you know, lineage or
and
connection.
background, yeah.
And the people who made the movie were really level-headed.
Considering like the people, the directors, and majority of the cast, I believe, was like all Hindu. It's like really, it's nice to see that, you know, they didn't. It would have been really easy for them to like place all the blame on like one side of the people or whatever, but they didn't really do that, and they took like their time to kind of like take it step by step. And the overall topics that they basically like addressed in it, like from drug use to what's it called, mental health, to losing a loved one, to
having unresolved issues, you know, despite the drug issue, despite you know, losing a parent, he had unresolved issues with his father as a child.
Yeah,
you know, there were things that were not resolved till they were really rotten and, you know, almost coming to a blast at that time. So this is it. I don't think we should be giving away more of it.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll stop. Oh, here, we back. I'm just standing now because this is like a more comfortable way for me to talk. But yeah, that half was with my mom. I just wanted her to have like thing, because I don't know. I guess I don't know if this is an important detail, but my mom's like a playwright, so she's really interested in all like kind of movie writing things as well. So I was just like, it's cool to hear her insight. But yeah, and so essentially, like, I think the movie, okay, so there's been, the reason I like was really interested in watching this film was because of like, first of all, the actors that were doing the parts. Like, I'm a huge fan of Ranbir Kapoor and Vicky Kaushal both. Like, they're really good actors. I've watched Masan, and I've watched Love Per Square Foot, and I've watched his Razi, the most recent film, and all three of them, he did really well in Razi and Masan. Those are my two favorites, and I think he's a really good actor, basically. And then, and I also did a lot of research, because I honestly wasn't a fan of Sanjay Dutt ever. Like, the only movie I really watched was, like, Munna Bhai, or, like, you know, really interested or, like, ever cared about was that one. And then when the previews of this came out, and, like, the trailer and whatever, I was, like, super hyped about it. And when I saw, like, oh, like, the drug thing and whatever, in my head, I was just like, oh, whatever, he was just a druggy guy, and, like, whatever, right? And I knew he was, like, he was in jail for a certain amount of time for, like, something that he didn't do, but I didn't really know what it was. Like, I didn't really know what the level of the crime or whatever it was, right? And so I like looked into like his thing of everything, like his Wikipedia interviews, all that kind of stuff. Like so the beginning things that were like the most traumatizing for him, I think, were firstly like his mom passing away and him doing drugs, and his friend that was the one who gave him like drugs constantly, that was his friend. Essentially he had a really hard time coping with like his mom's sickness. She had like pancreatic cancer, and he basically, his first film was releasing, and they had decided that they were gonna like basically watch together, and she died like days before the release of the film. And so I think that obviously had like a huge part, and that was whilst he was also doing drugs. And after that, there were like allegations of him against him about because he committed like certain crimes, and he was linked to the Mumbai attacks in like 1983 or something like that. And basically it was that he was part of those people, even though he totally wasn't. And he was just kind of like, there was like some kind of truck or something like linked him to that. Therefore his sentences carried on and on and on. And so for me to like I was just interested in like how he got out of it and why he had to like, because essentially he like served his time for carrying the arms that he had. But then after that, it was also kind of like his like the thing, he was connected with Tata. Tata is like the terrorist act thing in India, where they basically It's like a thing. It's like a thing. You look it up or something. Google it. So that was his like reason of being in jail for the first time, and then the second time, it was completely like none of it was like his fault. He was basically framed for something, and he spent like on and off 6 years in jail. And considering like the level of actor and kind of he is, you would think that his family would have been able to take him out, but the allegations were like that serious and intense, and even though they weren't real, he had to basically, you know, spend time in there. And then the story really follows a lot about how news kind of spreads like everywhere, and how like one article can change like this reputation of a whole person, and how like that was like a repeated theme in the film that I appreciated, because like as much as it is about what was about his life, it was about like the importance of like the way we interpret news and the way we kind of read things. There was news about him being a terrorist or being attached to like this, and but there was never confirmation or any kind of that thing that he was legitimately thing. These were all like allegations, and he was mainly, I think, you know, it was mainly that purpose. But yeah, okay, so aside from that, I don't want to give too much away for the film, but I feel like I have already, but like whatever. People, if you have not watched the movie, don't watch this, I guess. What else? The music, amazing, really good. All the music was so good. My favorite song was, I think, the Kar Har Maidan Fateh song. It was really, really good, and like it like made me want to like go for a run or something. Don't worry, I didn't do that. Not yet, anyways. Huh. What else? Yeah, I mean, okay, some things that like annoyed me about the film were like, okay, so Anushka Sharma is like this writer girl, whatever, with like curly hair and like skinny as hell, and like, and her name is Annie something. She's like the best biographer, whatever, in the world, but for whatever reason, she has blue eyes and she speaks like full Hindi, right? Now, I'm not out here saying that that's not possible, but in the setup that they showed her, it was like really unlikely that she would know how to speak like Hindi or do whatever that well. And when she was saying it, it was just like this, it was so strange to see her like that, because she was like this world famous international biographer, writer, or whatever. And so that bit was a little strange to me. And what the other thing that, because a lot of the people basically said that this movie was like a really big what would you call it, it was like a dramatization, or like it was like a victim film for Sanjay Dutt. And maybe like there is a lot of sympathy that this film took, like that he earned from this film. But I think the facts stand where they are, that he was like, maybe he did do other things that we're not aware of, or like the way he did them, but like the overarching thing, like, and the overarching message in the film was like definitely conveyed about like news and how wrong it was for, you know, majority of the people to kind of believe everything they read, like without any reason. And I mean, I'm a victim of that too. Like I've done that. Like I just believe whatever I send, or like this information, like sending each other and all this stuff. Like we're all a victim of it. But I mean, we're a victim to it. But yeah, I don't know. It's like difficult, because I'm somebody who like, because I'm a fan of documentary films. So when it's a biopic, obviously I know there's like a certain level of dramatization, and Bollywood is essentially all drama and whatever. The only like main criticism and feedback, which I also read in another article by NDTV, I think, they said that like Sanjay Dutt's character, they could have shown it more layered as him as a person struggling with these issues, rather than like, you know, it was like a fast 5-minute episode of each issue he had, like the drugs, the little this, that. And granted, they did a really good job showing it, but I feel like they could have like expanded more on like his struggle or his kind of feelings on it, or kind of like shown more about how like layered it is, because right now it seems as though like Sanju Dutt is just like this guy who like went through this stuff, right? But we don't know like how he went through it. And I mean, this comes down like for whatever reason they didn't choose to show it that way, and it could be because, you know, like the masses don't really care about that kind of a thing, or the masses don't really, you know, they don't want to know about all that stuff. They just want like songs and a good movie or whatever, which is fair. But yeah, I don't know, that's like the main criticism and the Anushka Sharma thing, obviously. Yeah. Overall, pretty good film. I highly urge and recommend. But yeah, I don't know if this kind of stuff is like hella boring or like whatever, but I was like, I'm really into this stuff, and maybe somebody else who's like hella dweeby about all the things that I watch is too. So yeah. Peace out. Bye. Also, I don't know if there's like a thing that I've decided to end my videos, but like suggestions welcome for the 0.1 people watching. Bye.
क्या यही प्यार है?
हाँ यही